Okay, so let's start. And first, I wanted to ask you about the war in Ukraine, as this is kind of a hot topic, and it has been one of the longest lasting conflicts because it's been going on since 2022, beginning of the year. And what do you think about this conflict? Is it going to end? And if yes, are the tensions going to move to a different region?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I think that the war will not be the war won't be finished in 2026
Mm-hmm.
because of a few. I have a few reasons. First of all, Russia has a goal to take whole Donbass. But right now Russia doesn't have whole Donbass. They have some part.
Mm-hmm.
So that first of all. Secondly, Russia doesn't want to finish this war because of the civil servants in Russia, local from Siberia, from
Mm-hmm.
not from Moscow or St. Petersburg, from this distance smaller towns. They have business when the soldier were killed. They have a lot of money from country
Mm-hmm.
to from country, and also this poor people, poor men. They don't want to. They can earn on the war big money. Uh, Otherwise, they have be very poor. As we know that Russia provinces are very poor, and they
Mm-hmm.
have big problem even with a toilet in whole house. But if you ask me about the war will these tensions will be getting bigger for other countries like maybe Poland, Baltic countries, Moldavia, or Romania or Finland. I think it's possible, but in my opinion, like for full, like in 2022 for Ukraine, it's
Mm-hmm.
impossible right now because the war against Ukraine is going down right now. So the second front, it's very bad for Russian generals. But right now we have like hybrid war in our country. Yesterday, our prime minister said that our energy infrastructure was attacked. All day we have cyber attack for infrastructure of
Mm-hmm.
bank, from government institution, even fire. Our buildings in Poland are fired, the and also the infrastructure is destroyed. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I heard that in Russia the economy is very bad and a lot of people don't have work, so they tend to go into military to earn their living. And what do you think is the reason behind war in Ukraine? Do you think that the USA is trying to stop Putin's advance, or maybe they are fighting over some resources that are in Ukraine?
During Biden's administration, I remember from this book, New Cold Wars. I read about it that they tried to stop by talking with Putin, but even Biden and his administration, Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken, Kamala Harris, they knew that it was impossible to stop Putin. And also the reason why Russia wanted to take Ukraine and even maybe whole Central Eastern Europe, uh, because of the very basics of Russian mentality. It's like the Russian elites and maybe even Russian people, ordinary people, want to have big Russia. They want to have big land, even they are 70 million of kilometers square. They want to have more and more. Also, on Ukraine, there are a lot of minerals. Even some of them are rare earth elements. So right now, it's essential for development. And also, I think Putin hates Ukraine because Ukraine tried to be on the West, and Putin was afraid of that because maybe he thought that Russian ordinary people from Moscow, from Saint Petersburg, or even from smaller provinces, want to rebel from Russia because they want to be democracy and they want to be on the west, and that's the reasons of war on Ukraine.
Mhm. All right. And I also wanted to ask you about the involvement of China in this war. Do you think they are, because they are working closely with Russia, but do you think that they have a part in this recent war? I know that after some countries stopped taking oil from Russia, that China stepped in, so they are at least helping them economically by buying their resources. But do you think they will join some conflict in the future? Is it probable, or does China just prefer to be peaceful and just grow economically?
Mm, In my opinion, from the last sentence, China doesn't want to join to this conflict as an opponent, official opponent of Ukraine, because it's not like Chinese mentality. They want to fight with trade elements more than fighting. Also, I think the Chinese interest on Russia is like Russia couldn't be very strong because when Russia is like that, the price of oil, the price of minerals are lower because of the crisis on because European Union and or whole Europe even stopped no, without Hungary stopped buying Russian gas. And right now China sent technologies to Russia I think to test them
Mhm.
because Chinese engineers are very powerful right now, and they want to test something. And also China fight against USA, but USA was right now it's complicated in my opinion. USA supported Ukraine, and China and USA are have big tensions on that.
Mm-hmm. And what are the biggest tensions between US and China?
uh, Biggest tensions, the biggest tensions is about technology. Technology And with technology, rare earth elements. The technology like artificial intelligence, building ships, because USA have a problem
Mm-hmm.
with that. Even cars and everything, military technologies, and this is the reason why we have this, because USA from a lot of years they have dominant position in every aspect of technologies of the world. They have United Nations organizations. They have
Mm-hmm.
everything. But China started to be powerful. They have better products, some of them, than US products, and that's the main reason why it is. And that's why this is the cold war between them.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we have temporary deal with them, between them, during 14th October of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Xi Jinping and Donald Trump met in Seoul, and the rare earth elements uh, are distributed normally, not by not. the Chinese government that didn't control export of rare earth elements, and so we have temporary stopping, but we'll see what will be next.
Yeah, I heard that some time ago China also stopped the export of silver, for instance, which further increased its price. I think silver rose like
Oh, I didn't know.
200% in 1 year, and also after that, China stopping the export of silver, it also jumped a little bit higher. So there is a huge optimism on silver right now. A lot of people are buying silver, although it is very, very expensive. Of course, it has some real life use. It is not only a shiny rock, but can be used in some technologies. I think it is also like one of those rare metals, right? But I also wanted to ask you about what do you think in the long term will happen between USA and China? Do you think they can cooperate, or is it going to end up in war? I know there are some tensions on the monetary policy, as China wants to be cheap goods exporter. So they want to be able to produce for a low price a product that they can later export and have this price advantage of being the low cost producer, while they have this policy that they cannot hold their own currency. So when a big company in China gets money paid in yuan, they need to sell it and instantly buy US dollar. So they are trying to lower their own currency and boosting the dollar. But right now, we saw in last years a lot of money printing in USA, and the dollar is at record lows. Do you think this could boost the tensions between China and the USA? Because the dollar, every country in the world has been using it as a reserve currency. But right now, when the US is printing so much money, a lot of central banks are moving a little bit away from the dollar and moving into gold. What do you think about this?
I think this monetary aspect, as you said about yuan and dollar,
Mm-hmm.
is the another part of as one of Polish expert Jacek Bartosiak said, systemic war of our systemic war, and because trade tensions between USA and China won right now. China wins right
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is winning right now. But if we say about currency, it will be harder for China because dollar is everywhere. As you said, everyone pays dollars, and I think right now the position of dollar is stable, despite of this that dollar is getting low and low.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But maybe in long term, if USA all the time will print and print dollar, it can be problematic, because also I heard that Brazil and China, between them they have export, they have trade in their own currencies, and it's not dollar. So that's the reason that right now it's okay for USA, but if they print and print, but there is no value in them. Also, they don't produce a lot. I think they want to, they pray about success of artificial intelligence, that USA will win this, will win this,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's the point. Yeah.
All right. I also wanted to talk about Venezuela. I have a lot of investments in US oil, and it looks like Trump and his policy, he calls it drill baby drill or something like that. And I heard that the US military is increasing its presence in Venezuela, and they are building some defenses also on water. And in your opinion, is Venezuela becoming a key point on the world's fuel map, and will the US companies go in and try to drill for that oil?
If I think, but I heard about this Venezuelan
Mm-hmm.
oil that the infrastructure of taking this oil for is very very expensive because it's old, because it's like 60 years. This infrastructure is 60 years old, something like this. But if you have if you have minerals, very very strategic and essential mineral like oil, it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please continue.
ah, if you have very very strategic and essential a mineral like oil, it's all Venezuela always be important. Venezuela always will be key place on the world because Venezuela has the biggest number of oil, the biggest amount of oil. Sorry, and that's the point. So yeah, I think Venezuela will be powerful with that, but if I'm not sure how it looks like the ruling of in Venezuela, because we have this Maria Sanchez, probably the president of Venezuela, and I'm not sure she's. I will see how it looks like, because the rhetoric of Venezuelan politicians are anti-American, but we'll see. I think very very important date will be 26th April, because Xi Jinping and Donald Trump will meet, and I'm sure that Venezuela will be topic of that meeting. Yeah, that's my thing. And what do you think
Mm-hmm.
about it? As a you know stock market, so I'm very curious about
Mm-hmm.
your opinion about it.
Yeah, so personally, I read about it a little bit, and the US oil companies were present in Venezuela around 100 or 50 years ago, but in 1976 they had to left, and a lot of the operations had to be stopped, and a lot of money was lost because of that. So Donald Trump wants the oil companies to go into Venezuela and drill for oil to get that oil money. However, those companies are fearful that the history will repeat itself, because infrastructure to drill for oil and later through pipes send it somewhere else, it is a very long-term project. Some of those pipes can last up to 50 years. So for them, it is very difficult to say if they are safe to invest for such a long term in Venezuela. That's why they want US government to also have some investments or military presence in order to secure that long-term drilling in Venezuela. But for now, there were some optimism at the day when US attacked Venezuela and captured their president. But right now, they are moving a little bit slower, trying not to lose money. And I also wanted to ask you, how will other countries react to that? How will Russia or China or countries from the OPEC look at this?
I think the most Russia is very very angry for that, because USA have the special military operation in Venezuela. They kidnapped Maduro, and a few hours, and that's fine. But Russia troops didn't take Kiev in 3 days, and it was and war is continuing 4 years. But
Mhm.
China, I think China is also angry, because it last the day before. attack on Venezuela, Maduro met with Chinese diplomat, and
Mm-hmm.
and and a few hours, and Maduro was kidnapped. So also it's it's military. It's like it's bad for China, but maybe it's like the key point for them in South America, because maybe the other countries like maybe Brazil or Colombia or Mexico, they will they will defend them. So for me, it's also I'm not sure of that what I say, but yeah, but also the countries in South America, as I said, Cuba, Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, have big they are afraid of US invasion, or maybe they have some contact right now in China and Russia to protect them, but we will see.
Mm-hmm. Right. So currently, the stock market, especially the US stock market, is very optimistic. It has been going up for years. Some of the companies are heavily overvalued, meaning they're very expensive to buy, and the market doesn't really react to negative events. Even if something negative happens, the market soon forgets about it and just continues the move upward. And how do you think that this optimism on the market correlates to the geopolitical tensions? Do you think, because at some point there will come a time where the huge optimism flips and people become fearful, the stock market starts going down. What do you think could be a reason for that to happen? Could there be some geopolitical event, maybe connected to Venezuela, to oil, or to the lower dollar, or maybe some war somewhere? What could be this one big event, in your opinion, that could change the sentiment of investors from this optimism to
Uh,
negative?
oh wow, the trend of positive investing. Oh, it's very good question. It's very hard.
Yeah, it is very
If
difficult, especially that the market hasn't been really reacting that much to negative information in the last years.
maybe Maybe when Ukrainian front
Mm-hmm.
would collapse completely, and in Kiev, Zelensky
Mm-hmm.
was killed, and some Russian Ukrainian president will rule on Ukraine. So maybe something like this, because I don't think that attack on Cuba, Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
or Colombia will shock, because won't won't be
Yeah.
shocking for investors, as they know for sure. So I think maybe collapse of Ukrainian front, because it will be
Mm-hmm.
because it's like this war is long. It's 4 years. This war is longer than the biggest war in
Mm-hmm.
our history between Soviet Union and not and German. And so yeah, it's like it's like the
Mm-hmm.
historical war. So yeah, I think collapse of Ukraine. And you, do you think some? And what do you think about it? What
Mm-hmm.
could be happening to stock investors?
So actually, I have a little bit different opinion. I think that the market is so irrational that even something small can change the price action. So, there was this crash on the stock market a few months ago because Trump said something about the tariffs. And sometimes the market reacts very pessimistic about him talking about the tariffs. On the other hand, on the different time, Trump says something about the tariffs and the market doesn't care. It's just irrational. Sometimes it does something, sometimes it doesn't react at all. But
Okay.
remember that on the stock market, what drives the sentiment is usually the price. This is very basic, but when the price of stocks are going up, everybody's making money and they're optimistic. right? They don't really understand that, okay, right now your stocks are more expensive, so they are getting more risky. They think, oh, it's going up, therefore I'm such a good investment, I'm so smart, etc. And when the price goes down, then people get very pessimistic. In psychology, there is this terminology that says that losses are twice as impactful as winnings. So when the price starts to drop, people will get super fearful. That's why we always usually have those rapid crashes, right? Because the psychology makes people in the moment very, very pessimistic. But remember, what drives the price is always the big players, the banks, the financial institutions, and other players like that. If they decide to leave, to go out, the price will start to drop. And what I will look for accumulation. So when a big player starts to leave because they have so much money, it takes them time to sell all of their stocks, right? And they don't want to sell it all at once because then the price would crash. So what happens is that they're starting to selling it slowly over a period of weeks or months. And we could see it in the price. While the optimism on the market will be high, the price will start to move sideways. It will not be going up, it will not be going down, but this is this like when they will sell their own stock while keeping the optimism high. So I would look for that, for movement from the big
Okay.
institutions away from the stock market. Of course, it's
Okay,
uh,
so
mhm.
you see for the trends, yeah? You see for the trends, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit like this because it cannot continue forever. But how can we say, okay, the big money, so the market movers, the people who have billions of dollars that move the price, how can we say when will they be leaving? So there are some things we can look at. For instance, on the stock market, there's before the market opens, there is this half an hour when only the big institutions can trade. So if you look at what
Okay.
happens to the price during this half an hour, you can see what the institutions are currently doing.
Ah, okay, it's interesting. You
So
know, I don't have big. Yeah, yeah. Continue.
for instance, on the silver, I told you silver went 200% up in 1 year. Usually it goes up by 5% a year or like 6% a year. So it's like 30 times more than what it usually goes up by. And on silver, if we look at the half an hour before the market opens, when institutions trade, you can see that the institutions are selling. So it's usually they are selling for this half an hour, then all of the smaller investors come in and the price keeps going up. But we can see the sign that, okay, the big players are already selling the silver. But as I told you, they cannot sell everything at once because the price will crash and market will become pessimistic. They need to do it slowly, slowly over time. And yeah, mm, so this is the reason why I think the market is very optimistic. There are some signs that on some markets, like on silver, the big institutions are already selling. All right. And at the end, um, currently, do you think we should, for an investor or a regular person, do you think this is a good time to be aggressive or more defensive?
Uh, I think defense because but oh no, sorry, aggressive because we know that the world is unstable. Our political current order is collapsed, was collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
and right now we doesn't have deal. We have it's creating all the time. And I think it's on the crisis, on chaos. You can, as the investors, you can you can earn a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and because some movements you can predict because before war in Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
troops were on the borders with Venezuela, the sea, on the Venezuela on the sea,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's a good time to invest because in information era in AI area you have a lot of information about movements of everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and also every country. That's why I think the aggressive strategy, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for crisis in era of information. Yeah.
All right. So what you are saying is probably right before another major conflict or a major situation, investors are able to get information from politics, geopolitics, and
Oh,
before it
really?
happens, know with some probability what is going to happen and then act on that.
Wow, really? But in USA, it works, or also in some other countries too?
Well, you said about the war in Ukraine, right? Before it started.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
That was many years ago, but I was looking at the market and there were some informations, even from like some US institutions like CIA or something like this, that they said before the war started that the Russian troops are on the border and they are preparing to attack. Do you think
Okay.
investors could earn money by getting that information from geopolitics and using it to invest or to speculate?
Uh, I think there is a deal between politician and investors. These
Mm-hmm.
investors can fund their campaigns, and also but and to other side is like trade, transactional trade. It's like they have informations about wars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yes, it's legal for sure. It's moral. The geopolitics is cynical. It's very cynical, and so I think yes, it's okay when they do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like the elites, financial elites, political elites. They have power on the country. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm. You said it's cynical. What do you mean by that?
cynical that the some values, rules, talking about freedom of democracy,
Oh,
of some law of people, prawa człowieka w sensie.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and it's like the for marketing, for propaganda even. But in the other side they do businesses on the wars. Yeah, it's like cynical. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say. It's like, don't it's like egoism. It's
Mm-hmm.
egoistic for people, for money. Yeah, it's greedy, being greedy. But it's like the law of man. Law of man. Everyone of us has this instincts like this, and yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, I agree, but on the other hand, we also have empathy and other stuff like that. But if I look at the leaders nowadays, for instance, Putin, he's from some like military institutions, right? He was in KGB, I think, or somewhere else. So this is a very, war-minded individual. And also, if we look at Trump, he has this narcissistic behaviors, this big ego, etc., which also makes him a little bit less empathetic, maybe for other like smaller individuals.
Yes, that's true. But the world, the leaders like them from the history, from Napoleon, maybe Julius Caesar, and I don't know, some Chinese emperors or some like that. Maybe if you the leaders have to be like that. I think, or maybe I will miss, but it's like the rule of politics. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the word. I think I'm not sure it's possible to change that, but maybe I will miss. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I heard some statistics that a lot of politicians have this antisocial behaviors, that it's a dirty game in politics.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and as you said, they are saying one thing and doing something else, right? They're saying, "Oh, we want
Yeah,
peace, we don't want war," but then they start all of those war, all of the stuff.
yeah, Yes, they have benefits. They very very often they have benefits on that. So yeah, that's the word. I'm not shocked of this because I read a lot of about. Sorry, I read a lot of
Mm-hmm.
books. I watched a lot of videos about that, and it's like normal for me. Maybe yeah, but yeah, it's the word. Yeah, it's the word. It's the people.
Mm-hmm.
We are like this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so thank you very much. At the end, please
Thank you so much.
tell our listeners where can they find you.
Okay, I have a channel on YouTube and on TikTok. Geopolityka bez histerii. Linka też podeślę, więc myślę, że to będzie dobry pomysł. Jeżeli będzie film, pod filmem wszystko opublikuję i pozdrawiam Twoich widzów i dziękuję bardzo za rozmowę. Był to mój debiut, jeszcze po angielsku stresowałem się trochę, ale bardzo dziękuję za tą okazję porozmawiania. Naprawdę. Dziękuję
Dziękuję
bardzo.
Ci też bardzo, bardzo fajnie wyszedł podcast. Dobra.
Dziękuję bardzo. Jeżeli będą jakieś rzeczy, ja mogę, tylko musiał się trochę bardziej doedukować na temat właśnie giełdy i tak dalej, bo mam małą wiedzę na ten temat, więc z
Oczywiście.
miłą chęcią, jeżeli chętnie mogę powtórzyć współpracę w przyszłości, czy jakąś załóżmy, nie wiem, co jakiś czas, to chętnie możemy porozmawiać.
Jasne, na pewno. Tutaj geopolityka i giełda się mocno łączą, więc myślę, że to jest fajna
Tak.
kooperacja, że tutaj właśnie te dwa światy jesteśmy w stanie połączyć. No bo ja też z geopolityki jakimś, wiesz, super ekspertem nie jestem, nie można się znać na wszystkim, prawda?
No oczywiście, że tak. Nikt nie jest jakby najlepszy we wszystkim, tak?
Mhm. No dobra, dziękuję Ci bardzo za podcast i do
Dziękuję
usłyszenia w
bardzo.
przyszłości.
Do usłyszenia. Cześć.